Navigator Nation. As you can see, it is not one but two guest stars for Taco Tuesday here in the studio.
Dad jokes.
Can't go wrong with dad jokes. Cannot go wrong with dad jokes. My name is Mike Hess. I am the COPD dude. I am the COPD navigator. I hold a lot of hats in the COPD community. Of course, I help run the COPD Navigator Facebook group. We also have now grown to a YouTube channel and a Twitter feed, tweet account. I'm trying to get better at. I need to enlist the help of my social media intern, Emma Hess here, who some of you have met a couple of times. She's been doing a great job with a lot of our extra needs when we're doing Fitness Friday and when we've done the previous Hollow Taco Tuesday. And over on Emma's left side, looks to be on the right side of the screen as you're looking at it, I am very pleased to introduce for an entire episode today my lovely wife, Kelly Becker, family nurse practitioner extraordinaire, working in obesity and metabolic medicine. She's going to be talking to us about nutrition.
Health.
We're all going to be talking about self-care. That's kind of the theme of the show today. That's why Emma is here. To help us get our nails prettied up a little bit, because even in the middle of a pandemic, even when things are going awry, it is absolutely critical for everyone's mental health to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And sometimes it's as simple as touching up your nails, putting on some makeup, shaving a little tighter for the men out there. In addition to the other things that we talk about all the time, going for walks, trying to stay active, all these things. So as a nurse, this is part of Kelly's expertise also. We know that when it comes to eating and nutrition and things like that, a lot of times we tend to fall into unhealthy behaviors with self-care with food. I know I'm not speaking out of turn there. I've done that many a time myself. It's something we struggle with all the time. And so we're going to apparently pre-celebrate Nurses Week. I thought I had read typos. I'm used to calendar weeks being Nurses Week, but apparently Nurses Week doesn't officially start until tomorrow. But we've got our nurse here, so we've got our interprofessional panel here to discuss stuff, whatever's on your mind, whether it's COPD, whether it's self-care, whether it's nutrition, whatever it is. So start formulating those questions now. We're going to take a quick look around. We've got Dave checking in from Linden, Washington. Welcome, Dave. Got a couple other folks joining the video, at least according to Facebook. Please make sure you drop a line and say hello. We'll check one other spot here. Nobody checking in on YouTube. We've got YouTube. We've got Facebook. We've got all kinds of stuff checking in. Excuse me. One other thing I want to point out is that I'm going to see if I can pull this off while I'm talking too. This has been designated Giving Tuesday now. Usually Giving Tuesday comes after Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then we have, I think it's Giving Tuesday. We got all that stuff down in the end of the year, but with all this pandemic situation and all that stuff going on, the foundation that runs that has decided to do that a little bit early. And so I would highly recommend I would highly recommend, if you're able, of course, trying to find any reasonable organization that you feel is appropriate in these times to try to be giving some financial support to. We've got the COPD Foundation is one place that is doing a lot of great work, of course, in the COPD community and with a lot of this stuff. Joe is asking to adjust the microphone gain a little bit. Always tricky, and especially got a little bit of a remodel in the studio here, so we will try and turn that up a little bit.
Some of your sound panels are moved.
Some of the sound panels moved. We've got it's always a delicate mix when you're filming in a literal basement to try and get the sounds that you want to hear without the sounds that you don't, but that should do all right. You might be able to see a little bit of the microphone action in the thing here, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is find, if you're willing and able, of course, you've got a lot of different great options out there to support a lot of organizations. The COPD Foundation, the American Respiratory Care Foundation, American Lung Association. I have also, again, this is a little bit odd, but I have decided to go ahead. I have started a thing called a Patreon account. If you support what we're doing with this stuff, anything that you happen to support, it's more of a subscription thing, goes right into creating more of this content. I have discovered that I would absolutely love to do this a little bit more with you folks, but still got to pay the bills for all these fancy lights and microphones and all that stuff. So hopefully, Joe, and hello to you, by the way. Hopefully, there we go. Okay, sounds great now, according to Joe and Jamie. Hello, Jamie, checking in from the greater Grand Rapids area. Hope things are going well with cousin Jamie. Hi, Karen, checking in. I did just drop in the watch party I've got started a link to the Patreon account. Again, certainly a lot of options out there. I just if you appreciate what we're doing, if you like what we're doing, you want to see more of this fabulous content, support. So with that said, I'm going to stop yapping for a second. I'm going to let Kelly introduce herself a little bit. I'm used to we're jumping in with both feet on these things, but let's let Kelly have a little chat.
Well, honored to be a guest on this show today. Impressive, the committed people that we see routinely. Nice to see our friends and familiar faces. It is our daughter Emma's birthday tomorrow.
Yes.
So in addition to Nurses Day. So I wear several hats also. So I am proud wife of Mike Hess. I am stepmom.
Yep. Now it should be back, but I didn't do anything, so I don't know why. There is a new cable here that I thought was a little bit more stable, but now we're back. The meter's going again. So.
All right. We'll just go with the flow.
We were talking about this yesterday because we did last week. I helped Kelly with her first virtual obesity support group, bariatric medicine support group, bariatric metabolic medicine. I can't remember exactly what the name of it is. And it went pretty well. And she was a little bit down on a couple of things. And I said, hey, I've been doing this stuff for 2 or 3 years now. And even now, something goes wrong every time. Every time. It's whether it's the cat coming through and knocking something out, or
Step in my keyboard.
The cable happened. I don't know exactly what happened, but so we've got Kelly. If you could just run through real quick again, because I don't know exactly when the mic died. So just kind of a brief summary again.
I can be more brief. Mike has said that I could talk about nutrition and various things, but even though I'm an obesity specialist, I'm a member of the Obesity Medicine Association, I'm a family nurse practitioner, full-time clinician in this specialty, and a patient, a lifelong patient. And I practice with respect for the 4 pillars of weight management, which do include nutrition, physical activity, behavior changes that specifically refer to getting good quality sleep, self-care, stress management, and then medications. This is biology. This just as with COPD and other chronic diseases that unfortunately suffer stigma and blame, such is the case with obesity. And both are, and many of these diseases are chronic diseases that are complicated. And what we do every day is really offer support. I kind of joke with my patients that we offer support without being jerks about it. So being here today and doing what we do every day is what this is about. So I could talk specifically about nutrition, physical activity, stress management, medications, and I'm happy to. But in the context of things, especially in the context of the crisis we're in right now, none of that really matters unless you feel you've got support and you have the means. And so a lot of what I'm addressing, even in my day-to-day virtual visits with patients, it's just, how are you coping? What are you doing to fall asleep? What are you doing to blow off steam? What small things can we do to have some sort of control without putting too much restriction or having too high expectation of ourselves? What things can we celebrate, practice gratitude? Those small, tender things are more important than the minutia, if that makes sense. I'm not going to talk to someone about how many grams of protein they're having in a day if they're just having crippling anxiety and depression and don't feel support. That'll seem like one more thing. So sometimes what we're addressing are the bigger issues, and so we're sensitive to that. And as you ask us questions and seek support, know that we're here also for the big picture. And in fact, I've been putting off having my nails done because I didn't feel I had deserved it. I hadn't done enough or earned it yet, but I wanted to jump in, and I've been a little bit jealous of Dad getting all the attention. So, treat yourself and know that it's okay to be imperfect, and it's, reach out to the people you have and the resources you have. We don't all have our great stylists and everyone available to us right now, and we can't wait to connect with them again. In the meantime, we're learning how to do scalp massage and foot massage and physical therapy and meditation. Lots of interesting new physical activity endeavors. So, do what you can with what you have, and we're here to support you in our goofy way in our goofy house.
Excellent. So, thank you, Diana. I hope that you got some of that. I think that was a pretty good summary of what was said the day the microphone died. So, we will also throw out to Karen, who wishes Emma a happy birthday tomorrow. You'll probably be able to wish it again if you're able to watch us again tomorrow. And then happy Nurses Day to Kelly.
Thank you.
So you have seen Emma very diligently preparing a workstation here. So Emma, are you ready to kind of tell a little bit about yourself and the story of Hollow Taco, maybe?
Oh, well, sure. I'm a teenager. Hello. So Hollow Taco came into our lives because I follow a creator called Christine, or as she's known on YouTube, Simply Nailogical. And I've been following her for a couple of years, and I introduced her to my parents because I was like, hey, this is cool, I think you'll like it. And they were like, yes. And last summer, I think it's been almost a year, she released the Hollow Taco collection, which was initially just a couple of nail polishes and holographic, which is like rainbow sparkly toppers to put on top of like a plain, colorful nail polish. And since then, we've been kind of collecting. She's released 2 other collections, which Dad has been nice enough to get for us, and a couple of base coats. And so I like to use them, and they like them too. So.
All right. So like I said, we've got a little platform set up here. We are actually going to switch views now, assuming this works okay. Because again, always something that goes wrong. Woo-hoo. But I think I've got it set up properly that we can actually switch the view here. And Yep, that's going to be the view. So in the top right corner of your screen, we're going to actually bump that just a little bit so that doesn't cover. Oops, not that. We're going to move that just a touch so that we've got plenty of room. Fortunately, Kelly is a little on the short side. So we've got a lot of room over the head there. So in the top right corner of your screen, you see the hollow cam. You see the nail bed area here, so that when we're doing this technique, while we are still answering your questions, I want to emphasize that. Please keep those questions coming. Get all that stuff out here. We'll talk it through and we'll have a little bit of fun together because this is can be kind of a soothing thing. So, Emma, I will let you take it away. Where would you like to begin?
Do Kelly first because she's never done it before.
All right. And thank you to Karen. Figured that Hollow Tacocat would be a good thing for Taco Tuesday.
Is it like if I just put a base coat on, will it be fine, or should I? Because Dad and I have found that it doesn't stick to our nails because they're super smooth for some reason. So
I should probably do whatever will help it stay on.
okay, so I'm just gonna
turn the gain up a little bit because we've got a couple of rookies here who still don't remember to project.
Nah. I was having a private conversation with Kelly.
Jeannie Nelson, Happy Nurses Day, Kelly Becker.
Thank you,
A
Jeannie.
little bit. Tell me if it hurts.
I will tell you.
So what are we doing now?
I am just gently filing the top of Kelly's nail so that when I put the base coat on, it stays and sticks longer, which means you can't pick at it or it'll really mess up your nail bed.
I'm not a picker.
Diana tells us that her nail polish chips off very fast, so hopefully that it's the top coat that helps.
I'm the base coat. I'm
Base
putting
coat,
the
okay.
long-lasting base coat on because Kelly, I think, wants to have her nails last for a long time.
Yeah, I do.
So long-lasting base coat for
Jeannie also says happy birthday, Emma.
Thank you.
Oh, it's my mother's birthday today, Christine Becker.
Yes, so happy birthday, Chris Becker. Happy to do some other shout outs too. We've developed a little bit of I don't know if I'd say a tradition, but we like to shout out various folks. Of course, our cousin Chowder, still in the ICU, but making excellent strides toward getting off the ventilator again and feeling better, a little bit better every day.
We'll just put
So if there is somebody you would like us to do a shout out to in our admittedly limited capacity, but we're always happy to support everybody in the community and make sure everybody's feeling a little bit. That's part of self-care, I would say, is to make sure that.
I want to make sure your nail is on the camera so they can see what I'm doing.
Can you see the previews okay a little bit there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move these back just a touch. Yeah.
I'll never forget. I made my mom laugh so hard. She was in the hospital in traction, and I was telling her this story, and at the time I was a nursing assistant on the ortho neuro floor working the night shift, and as I catch my own view, I'm reminded why my patient was terrified of me at night. So I'd come in and have to read the blood pressure as I was taking it manually, and so I'm leaning over with these giant eyes in the dark, and he'd just look up and he said, "Oh my God, could you be any scarier?" And I remember my mom laughing, and I've been teased for years for these giant eyes, and she laughed so hard she had a spasm.
Galron eyes.
Yeah.
Throwing a little Star Trek reference in there.
The eyes of
Speaking
glory.
of, if anybody was watching yesterday, we had the conversation where we had not ever
my
watched
God.
The Rise of Skywalker, the most recent Star Wars movie. We are, of course, as you can tell by our background here, the transporter room. All of my regular watchers of the show are very familiar with my variety of Star Trek and I don't know if I can reach my Doctor Who Sonic Spork. We are a family that very much believes in science fiction to tell stories and learn things and all that stuff, but hadn't gotten around to watching The Rise of Skywalker. And Not gonna lie, I was pretty disappointed.
Not
I was
impressed.
not a great. It was an okay movie. My view of it was that if it was just a movie, if it was just a sci-fi movie, I would actually probably be kind of interested in the world building and a lot of that stuff. But as a Star Wars movie and as the culmination of not just one trilogy but all the trilogies, it just didn't grab me very much.
Not good. Not impressed.
So, and Kelly, you're not really much of a Star Wars person.
I can appreciate the people who love it. It's just not my jam.
Sure. So, but again, it's important to as you're developing your self-care routines and your self-soothing and stuff like that. It's important to find what you love. I mean, you know, I saw a I think it was like a web comic the other day, just like or a couple of panels, and it was basically I'm gonna watch. As a matter of fact, I believe it was Star Trek, because I know this will shock a lot of people, but I tend to frequent some Star Trek Facebook groups. It was somebody or it might have been The Office. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Something that has a lot of cast and all that stuff. And they said that, I'm going to watch it again. It's like the 500th time I've watched it, but I'm not watching it to watch it. I'm watching it to see my friends again. And especially at a time right now where we are physically distant from each other. We had this conversation earlier in our house where sometimes it's just kind of nice to see the familiar faces. You kind of get to know some of the routines. You get to know the responses. The voices can be soothing. I don't know about you folks, but Patrick Stewart, I could listen to him all day long. And it's
Oddly enough, I can also listen to the narrator from Forensic Files, but Patrick Stewart and...
He has a nice
voice. Yeah.
Admittedly, I mean, maybe the content is a little bit more disturbing.
It doesn't make sense. But anyway, mad love for Patrick Stewart. Mad love, yeah.
And so, and the other thing is, especially at times like this, not only times like this, but even in cases with COPD, for example, you may not have much control over how you're going to feel day to day. At least this is what I'm told. This is what I've seen. I obviously cannot say that from a first-hand perspective, but you can't get a lot of predictability. But when you've watched a show a whole bunch of times, there's a certain comfort in that predictability and knowing what's going to happen, and just sometimes it's nice to anticipate, and sometimes it's nice to just have everything unroll for you in a way that you know is going to happen. So.
And sometimes you can have your daughter point out new things to you.
That's very true. That has been one of the beautiful things about, even as a longtime Star Trek fan. I just want to make sure I'm in frame here.
Oh.
Yeah, so we got that's the
boys.
Yeah, we got that's what that Patreon account is for. We got to get more video cameras in the. Because I don't think Kelly's gonna want me to buy more video cameras right now.
Nope.
All right.
But
should be good.
I think we're okay. What was I saying? What was I talking about?
You're talking about how I can point things out to you in Star Wars or Star Trek.
I have watched Star Trek dozens of times. The Next Generation in particular, and Deep Space Nine, and less so Voyager. Although I've really come to appreciate Voyager now with Emma. But
Captain Janeway.
Looking at things with new eyes, that can be really helpful.
I mean, we did with Battlestar.
Like with Battlestar Galactica, that was another fandom that we've joined. A lot of these things. So, and that's another one of the fun things, and something we may look into. As many of you may know, we're going to be doing an interactive Zoom conference on Thursday evening. And I'll be reposting the information for that, but you can go to our COPD Navigator Facebook page and get all the information there as well. There are places that are doing communal watches of a show. There have been a couple of times where, because all these conventions are being canceled and everything, and even sci-fi conventions, there have been a couple of times where they say, okay, well, queue up your copy of, I know one recent one was Star Trek First Contact. Unquestionably the second best Star Wars movie or Star Trek movie of all time.
Solid first for me.
And they had on the on the web conference, they actually had Jonathan Frakes, who directed the movie and plays Commander Riker, doing kind of a narration / commentary kind of deal. And so you could have this communal experience while still being in your house. And I think that's a lot of what's missing right now. We've talked a lot about pulmonary rehab and getting the information and exercise and all that stuff. But that's why it still says social from a distance up top there, because it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing with that social connection. Thank you, John Linnell. I do want to scroll back just a little bit here before we go too far, because Joe Walsh says Emma 19 and COVID-19 are not to be confused.
Oh, true.
Just very true. Jamie checks in with not either. She's not either a fan, but she is considering trying Star Wars. And I'll tell you, that will be another source of debate, because most people will tell you that the prequel trilogy that came out in the late 90s,
early 2000s,
is horrible. And you got to go old school, New Hope, Empire, all that stuff.
Other hand?
On the other hand,
What a segue.
to
The other hand.
what's on my other hand? I'm a big fan of the original trilogy, the Luke, Han, Leia. Love those, but the prequels do not deserve the hate that they get. So,
Hot take.
however, I think we can all agree these last three are certainly the weakest three of the bunch. Jamie also, Bonnie says, yay for Patrick Stewart. And Jamie says also Team Forensic Files. It makes perfect sense to.
Thank you. My love is almost any variety of British murder mystery. And so I try to get my family to watch those with me. And it is the dialect and the music, and that it's not gratuitous violence. Some of them are fun and cheeky, like Death in Paradise. It's, we've solved this murder and now let's have some rum and look out over over the ocean, you know. I sound kind of twisted, like all excited about my murder shows, but
Well, I mean, that's been a part of the culture for a long time. I think back to Columbo. I mean, people Murder She Wrote. I mean, that's probably the most gentle of mystery shows, and yet right in the title is people dying. I remember there was a stand-up comedian about how everywhere the little old lady goes, people die. Why don't they just keep her away?
that's like my Miss Marple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also Angela, the respiratory therapist.
Hey!
Try not to throw out too many last names and throw people under the bus. But Angela checking in. Congratulations on a new position and a whole new career path. That's very exciting stuff. This is certainly a time of transition, and it's going to be an exciting opportunity, I think. So, hello to Angela. Let's see who else we've got. So again, we've got some great chats about self-care and all that stuff. Oh, sorry. So Cheryl mentions never seen any Star Wars movies. Probably the only person in the world. I love fingernail polish though. So we're trying to cover all the bases. And don't feel too bad about that. I know I actually went to respiratory school with one of my best friends from respiratory school, a lady by the name of Tina, who now is a director of safety, I believe, at a hospital in Illinois. In case she catches this later. Hello, Tina. Who, it's possible she's seen one in the intervening 10, 15 years, but at that time, she also had never seen a Star Wars movie. So she was one of the people that tolerated my sci-fi references, even without a distinct understanding of them. A skill that Kelly has learned to appreciate also.
Well, and I've come to appreciate a lot of things on my own, which is good. What I want to know from people, what things are you doing, or is there something you have incorporated into your daily routine, or what are other people's suggestions for having a good laugh, or what really, what do you do to self-soothe? And I get the best ideas from other people and share them widely. So if you guys could share with us things that are helping you.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, we've got a question coming in from YouTube that's actually kind of hitting both of our bases and a lot of the things we talk about a lot. One of our viewers asks or says, I've got to get smoking and weight loss under control again. I've spiraled on everything with COVID-19. And first of all, you are absolutely not alone. I've been joking. I've been I'll come clean. I've got my my shapewear on. Let's see if I can get this in the. I've got my shapewear on because we've been joking about the quarantine 15. And then, of course, the camera adding 15 pounds, even though it's a little camera, so maybe it's only like 5 pounds. But yeah, the first week of quarantine, we did what we call them, snack laps, where we have the way our house is set up. We kind of have a living room and then the little hallway, and then there's access to the kitchen on each side. We can go right into it from each side. And so we'd be watching our show or whatever, and we'd get up and we'd just go into the kitchen and we'd maybe get some chips or some cashews or M&Ms or whatever, come back and sit down. Then the next time we'd get a pause or a commercial, we'd go do another lap. I mean,
and I was the pace car man. Like, I do this for a living, but I was leading the way. I am my own mess right now.
So I was never a smoker, so I didn't fall into that. But a lot of the psychology is very similar, where you're using this to soothe something. And particularly when we were first in the shutdowns and all that stuff, we had no idea what to expect. And the tricky thing that I've been dealing with now, I don't know how many other folks feel like this, but now it's almost even worse because there are signs that things have kind of stabilized. So it's human nature to want to take that as improvement and good and positive, and we're almost out of the woods. But the objective part of my mind says, no, we still have a lot to go with this. We still have to be really careful. And so with all the other stressors, there's that, I look at it as a phrase called cognitive dissonance, where you're kind of holding these two completely opposite thoughts in your head. And you don't really weigh one of them more than the other, but they're in complete conflict. And so you really have trouble with that. So it's still been, for me particularly, a big stressor. And I don't really know what to do with it.
Well,
what I would really like to hear, if it's all right, is I have, because it's close quarters and all that stuff, and Kelly has been doing a lot of televisits and things like that. I've heard some really good tips, kind of your routine spiel for a lot of folks who are struggling with whatever vice it is, whether it's smoking, whether it's eating, whether it's drinking, whatever, shopping, whatever the vice, the dependency is. There have been kind of a standard set of care guidelines that you've given folks. So would you be willing to share some of those with us?
So to specifically answer, is it Cheryl? Who was
this was Diana, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, Diana. Cheryl goes back to liking nail polish. That's
yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. And not watching Star Wars.
Diana, be gentle with yourself. It's tough, and you don't have to slay all your dragons overnight. So start with, what's something you can add to your day that helps soothe you, that isn't food or smoking, and take on those relaxation techniques. What I'm telling a lot of people is, don't overthink it, overtrack it, worry. It's not all or nothing. If nothing else, feed and water yourself. Get enough water, get enough food to nourish your body. Try to make sure you get a little bit of protein at every meal and snack, so you're not just having unopposed carbohydrates that can make you feel more crummy if you have them alone, like a giant bowl of popcorn alone. Try to have a smaller bowl of popcorn with a cheese stick, if that makes sense. And then just try to eliminate grazing, because even if you're not following any particular program, just having a break between meals allows your body some rest and to tap into those energy stores. So if people are focusing on some of their nutrition changes, it can just be have, scheduled meal times and just keep all of your eating inside those windows, and then just stop grazing. But don't stress out or over. Maybe you have baked something with the family, or someone has shared something and it's part of a love language. And if you want to have some of that inside your, say, 90-minute window, have a small amount, enjoy it, and don't feel bad about it. Because if you try to, change everything overnight or make it all or nothing, you're going to feel defeated. And when I feel defeated, I just want to throw in the towel and just not even try anything. And it's this vicious spiral. So be kind to yourself, get plenty of water, and then if nothing else, stop eating 2 hours before bedtime. Pay attention to how you feel. There is an app out there for $2.99, whether you're iOS or Android, called Am I Hungry? And I have found that this could apply to other cravings, where you ask yourself, you'll say, you click on the app, I'm hungry, and that might not be it, but maybe it's, I quit smoking into August 11th, 2003, so I know the struggle there, but you can address, am I really hungry, or is there something else going on? Maybe I try one of these distraction techniques. I call a friend, I go for a walk, when I quit smoking, I got one of those Play-Doh fun factories and did a lot with my hands. I, of course, had colored pencils. I had a lot of things to have in my hands, especially driving. But to try to do all of that at once, especially at this time, just don't do that to yourself. With physical activity, if you can try to get at least 30 to 45 minutes of movement at least every other day. Some of us really need times of rest, and that can be dancing to 2 songs after each meal. That can add up. Maybe that could be a lot of fun. And then really make a point to get at least 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. And a lot of us can't shut our minds down, or if we weren't active enough, and this has happened to us, if we aren't active enough, we're not tired enough to fall asleep and stay asleep, right. Nor can we shut our brains down. So some more active things like progressive relaxation. There are a lot of apps promoted for free right now. Calm, Headspace, other things.
Been seeing the Calm one advertised a lot on Instagram.
Yeah, we have one called, we have a song, is something about airways that Mike loves.
Calm Airways, I
Calm
believe
Airways, yeah. But we'll listen to that to kind of unwind at night. But whatever it is, taking some time, building a ritual. And I'll say, what's your self-care ritual? So when I was working in the clinic and not here, I said my boundary or my rule was, when I get in the house, no one can talk to me till I've changed my clothes, I've gone to the restroom, I've put my bag down, I've had a minute to regroup, and I'm sitting on my heating pad, I've got a cat in my lap, and then I'm ready to talk. Similarly, my husband would not want me to talk for the first 30 minutes when we wake up in the morning. So you learn what works for you, but think of those ways to blow off steam and shut your mind down. And it can be like keeping a list by your bed, but whether it's paper and pencil or a journal, or like the sticky note app on your phone. You're going to have worries, you're going to have a to-do list. It might rack up in the middle of the night, so just jot it down and literally put it to bed with you so that I can address this tomorrow. I'm not going to forget about it.
Very similarly, I give almost identical advice to people trying to quit smoking. We, for a variety of reasons, we tend to look at this idea of smoking as, well, you quit, you have this quit date, and whatever it is, no matter what if you're a 1-pack-a-day smoker, if you're a 2-pack-a-day smoker, if you smoke 3 cigarettes a day, the idea is you just set this quit date and that's the end of it. And that can work really well for some people, but in my experience, a lot of people have smoking as part of their daily ritual. You get up, you got your cup of coffee in one hand, your cigarette in the other. And I'm going to kind of claw it a little bit here because I'm still drying. But when you have when you take part of that away, that animalistic part of your brain that doesn't like change kind of goes nuts. And that's what makes it so hard to change some of these habits. And the key is to find a gradual replacement, distractor, all of those things, so that you can make gradual, sustainable changes rather than just trying to do everything all at once. So also I want to go back to Jeannie, who once again tells us, Jeannie's been on extra diuretics. She went through a phase where her cannula got pulled off and she kept going, but to her surprise, she didn't feel short of breath. Put the pulse ox on her finger, continued to walk around, still no shortness of breath. Sats were in the mid-90s, been O2 dependent for 4 years. What's happening? Feels like a miracle. I went for 2 hours on Saturday, 3 hours Sunday, 3 hours yesterday. Difficult to say. If you've been on extra diuretics, your heart may be pumping a little bit more efficiently. You may have a little less fluid buildup. You may have lost some water weight, and so your body is able to do things without the extra resistance and things like that. It's possible, depending on what your other activity level is. This is one of those questions that I don't want to cop out and say it's too complicated to answer, but there are a lot of variables in your case. But also let me highlight that that's excellent. I mean, it's excellent because that does seem to indicate some improvement / progress, whatever it is. There could be a number of factors going on. If your level of activity is increased, unlike many folks who, I've talked before, our average level is down about half by a lot of data out there.
Do you need me to move?
No, you're okay.
A lot of variables there. So whatever it is you're doing, keep up the good work. But I would also want to make sure that you're checking with your clinical team just to get a remeasurement, get a real clinical measurement of how well you're walking over the course of a few minutes, just to make sure that you're on the right regimen for you. You might be able to go to a sleep-only thing or something like that. So follow up with your clinician as soon as you're in a place where you can do some of the non-emergent visits again, and keep me posted. I'll be curious to see what the results are for that. Cheryl mentions that she subscribed to Fitbit Premium.
Yay.
As part of her fitness activity regimen. Gives you a lot of ideas to keep busy with exercises, challenges, and get more sleep. It helps keep mind and body active. I think this is going back to some of the apps that are out there.
Yeah.
I have not been wearing it again lately, but I have a Samsung watch now. But prior to that, I had a Fitbit, and I wish Fitbit had an app for the Samsung watch, because I really liked. Oh, Kelly's got her watch on, so I really liked even with the plain Fitbit app, you could have these challenges where you would walk on a trail, and as you hit certain points on the trail, it would give you a point of interest if you're in like Yosemite or Cascades, or some kind of trail where you're walking. So excuse me, that was really nice. Kelly, is there something on your watch that you wanted to show off?
Well, there are certainly things that we can do like that to compete, and I know that's what gets him motivated. By the way, with the Fit On app, I have assigned you as my challenger, the first 1 to 10 workouts on that. You might have a bit of an edge since both of your shoulders are working right now, but we'll see.
And that's the other thing to keep in mind, and we talk about that, we'll talk about it again when we get to Fitness Friday again this week. Before you do any kind of activity, make sure you clear that with a clinician that's familiar with your case. That's just standard, solid advice. Diane is very excited that you, with all the information that you shared. She does say, I wish Fitbit would remind me to walk and breathe every hour. Hopefully you're breathing a little bit more than every hour. I usually recommend somewhere between 12 and 20 times a minute, but that's just in my personal experience.
You can set most Fitbits to tell you to get up once an hour.
It's a joke. Breathing 12 to 20 times.
She said,
Fun dad jokes here, everybody. Was it Joe Walsh that was asking if you make dad jokes?
I think that was John Linnell, who I think just joined us also. So,
Well, there it is.
But walking, yes, Fitbit. as far as I know, all of them. I didn't have one of the fancier ones by any stretch, and that would tell me to get up every hour or so.
You have to set
No,
it
I need
that
your
way.
phone.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, you have to set it to do that. It's somewhere in the app where you just get movement reminders or something like that. So let's see. So going back a little bit, Jamie checks in again. Oh, first off, hello to Mike, waving. Hello. Jamie says, Grandma Lynn used to tell people who are craving a cigarette to watch a minute hand complete a full circle, a minute on a clock. Are you familiar with clocks that have minute hands?
I went to elementary school before we had a computer lab. Yes, I'm familiar with the clocks that have hands.
And says that it has helped her get through cravings at times.
We have one in the living room.
Joey struggles though.
Yeah, I never pass up an opportunity for a dad joke or a back in my day joke. Yeah, so distraction and substitution. I when we're talking about smoking cessation, I give people cinnamon sticks and candy cigarettes and straws and coffee stirrers and Play-Doh. When you get those cravings, you fiddle with your hand for, I tell people, about 5 minutes or so, and then either life happens and you got to go do something else, or you've gotten caught up in your new thing. So I don't know, is that a similar concept than when you're going for snacks? It was for me, so.
Though I need to employ that in my own life right now, admittedly.
Cheryl also mentions quit smoking in 2008, so congratulations. Again, we don't celebrate these victories enough at all. Let alone smoking or the non-scale victories we've talked about.
Like crossing my legs.
Stop drinking coffee and drinking pop at the same time. That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
Drinking those made her want to smoke.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, again, that kind of association. Yeah, the triggers. Took up knitting, played solitaire, and did crossword puzzle books too.
Nice.
Is this hand-free?
No.
Uh-oh. Well, I need it for just a second because I got to get to see more here.
Why does my face itch so much when we're on camera?
To keep hands busy. Yep. That again, it's so much of smoking is the hand to mouth, this activity or holding something or anything like that. And when you can do something else to relieve that, sometimes that's all your body wants. It doesn't really want the tar, or it never wants the tar or anything. It usually doesn't even want the nicotine. But
Other hand.
and fire Jolly Ranchers, she says.
Spicy.
John checks so late, but dog Harry is back from the groomer. So hey, let's get a picture of Harry. Drop a picture in the chat there. Come on.
I don't know if you can drop pictures in the Facebook chat.
Well, I can put a GIF in there.
Well, yeah, you can put a GIF in, but it won't let you access your gallery or the camera.
Well, and he also loves the dad jokes. John is another person I know who will never pass up an opportunity for a good pun in particular. Andy, checking in. Oh, this is back a little bit because I got distracted. I got too many windows going. Seeing both sides of the debate about opening up again. This is going back to the cognitive dissonance that's stressing out a lot of people right now. Hoping we're not opening too soon. I also hope our economy doesn't take a huge hit. Definitely cognitive dissonance. And yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what it comes down to is I see those arguments. And I regret that we didn't have a more stable, secure safety net situation, not just for individuals, but for businesses. I just found out today that one of our favorite restaurants in our neighborhood is closing for good.
Which one?
Bravo.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like Bravo.
Yeah. That's where Emma went for prom dinner a couple
Did
years
go there
ago.
for prom last year.
Last year. Well, it's corny. This is like the 45th of April, isn't it? I mean, it's... I wish there was a way that we could do this stuff safely because, and I can see where some people are coming from because I know there are parts of the company or country that have not had a surge yet, and it's very difficult to have that kind of stuff where if you're not living the experience, it's awfully tough to understand it. They say that there's that saying about travel being the antidote to ignorance or what have you. Not ignorance in the evil way, but just not knowing stuff. And if you're not tuned into a lot, it could very easily seem like this is being overblown, but it's really not. And so it's difficult. And then my good friend Karsten in the thick of things down in Pennsylvania, I believe. I always forget where people live. I want to put names on places and all that stuff. I've sent John
I'm
to
gonna start
Minnesota.
paying attention and keep them in line.
Wait, I need that hand still. I'm not done.
This one?
But Karsten says that I am so pretty.
Haha.
Thank you, Karsten. I appreciate that.
So, I think you were gonna.
Karsten,
ask
you're very pretty though.
I think you were gonna ask me about my self-care.
I do want to know more about your self-care because, we've got a generational thing going on. What is what are we're still Gen Xers, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what works for Gen X might not work for those darn millennials or
I am not
whatever.
a millennial. I am a zillennial because we can't decide where the mark is.
So what are some of your self-care tips?
So I generally use technology as part of self-care, but that can be a double-edged sword because social media is a thing. And it's not always a great thing. So sometimes that's kind of overwhelming. Star Trek fans out there, I follow Jerry Ryan. And wow, her Twitter, overwhelming. So sometimes I use social media. I also like to watch various shows. I watch Star Trek with Dad. I watch crime shows like Kelly. Sometimes I haven't been watching them as much recently.
Because we're all watching Star Trek.
I watch a lot of YouTube, as mentioned earlier. I watch a lot of different things. Dad is impressed by my YouTube.
We accidentally clicked on her account instead of my account. YouTube will give you suggested videos, which is why it's so important to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, because that way we get engagement. That way we get more views. But in any event, so you had suggested things for like people cleaning toy cars and refinishing something or other, and snakes, and not refinishing snakes, but
I follow a reptile channel on YouTube, and they are mostly snakes.
I don't watch that.
So also, Emma, for the record, you were correct. John says you cannot send a photo to a live video, so he sent it to the Facebook page.
Excellent.
Wait, I'm not done. And then outside of technology, I like to draw. Sometimes I'll write, but I haven't been writing as much recently. And I like to make things. So recently I made a shirt for one of my old Barbies.
Oh, it's cool.
And I've been repainting old My Little Pony toys and re-hairing them.
Yeah, popping their heads off.
I'm sorry you find that upsetting.
In a healthy way.
No, it's entertaining. Your little brother likes to do it now.
Yes, my brother, I gave some of the ones that I did to my brother Noah, who lives with my mom. And he's very excited about that. And I also read. I don't read a lot of books, but I read a lot of fan fiction. So yeah, that's what I do for self-care.
So let me take a moment and introduce everybody to Harry.
Aww.
There we go. I wonder if I might be able to slide it in underneath here a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. What about, yeah. Oh.
This is Harry. Get a little bit of glare there. Sorry about that, Harry. But...
Oh, that's good stuff.
Kelly's in the process of trying to convince Dad to get a puppy.
Well, and the problem isn't the puppy itself. So hello, Harry. The problem we got to do it right, because not only do we have to practice self-care, but we have to care for those in our care, our family, our friends, our pets, all of that good stuff. So
I don't take that lightly.
I know. So I think I gotta scroll back just a touch here because I had a couple of questions pop up. So Cheryl mentioned staying home alone. Who do I get along with better than myself? So there you go.
Good.
Also checking in with hi Shirley. I hope you're getting a little bit better results with your doc. Shirley checked in from Texas a couple weeks ago. or might have been a couple days ago. Again, we have established that I have no clear sense of time anymore. So, but I do remember Shirley was checking in, having a lot of trouble with her her office, and hopefully finding a better situation. Then we've got some fun snake story. Well, Jamie seconding Kelly's strong dislike for snakes. And Karen telling a fun story about a snake coiled up under her garbage can last week. Yikes. Wished you lived near me. You could have captured him.
I want to get a snake, but Kelly won't let me.
I have an unnatural fear of snakes. Like, I had one on our counter on Beaver Island. It was just my cousin Rachel and me, and we were like 12 years old in our nightgowns hanging out, and I went to roll up the ruffles, and my hand slid along this black snake trying to get in, and I just screamed my head off. And we took off on our bikes down the dirt road to my aunt and uncle's house about a mile down, and we're on an island, not much traffic up there, but my uncle Phil and my dad thought a semi had actually gone by because we tore ass, out of there.
It's a family show, Becker.
I'm sorry. And went back, and I stood on the couch until my dad could find it, and it was coiled up in the stove burner. And I could tell he wasn't too keen on it and was a little freaked out and on his tippy toes. But he was trying to be the good dad and grabbed it with a kitchen towel and tongs and took it across the street to the woods to go be on its merry way. And I woke up in the morning and had a very hard time falling asleep. I woke up in the morning and my dad was doing like plies with his feet in ballet positions by the front door, and I thought this was odd. He's a different dude, whatever. Let it rip, Dad, do whatever. But I said, what's going on? He goes, just go to bed, just go to bed. Swear it was the same snake trying to come under the front door. And then to make this story even more compelling, Rachel's aunt, Jackie, is a scientist and ecologist and got her master's degree studying snake behaviors on Beaver Island, and they are that territorial. And maybe that snake never wanted to hurt me, but I have a healthy respect for them, but I don't want to be surprised by them. But that snake probably doesn't want to be surprised by these eyes either.
Well, but if I have a snake, it will stay in my room and you won't be surprised by it.
If not, I will die. I'll die.
And interestingly enough, this is one of those things that I land precisely 50-50 on. I really don't care either way. I'm not a huge fan. I wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't necessarily veto it either, so I am of no help.
And now we will wait for a few minutes.
You get a big yikes from Karen for that one, by the way. Also, Cheryl and our good friend Elena checking in from across town, halfway across town. Also really like your dog, John. So a very nice doggy. So, and Elena also points out that Elena also points out that all families understand tearing out of there. So even though it's a family show, apparently you still get a pass. So.
Thank you.
We will ask you back for. Well, I don't know. I mean,
you need a bleeper.
Right alert.
If the crowd wants you back, we'll have you back. But because we're here for you. We're here for you. So, and apparently Karen also has a variety of other snake stories with a pygmy rattler and a coral snake and some other stuff. So.
Sorry to interrupt, but when we wonder why we live in a place that makes our face hurt, all those snakes might be why.
Perhaps. Diane also seconds your scary snake story. Also, John would like to point out that Emma is repurposing the ponies, not just popping their heads off.
Oh, yes. She doesn't pop them off and leave them, and then it's forensic files.
Well, you can understand where people may get that impression, though.
From
if you're
me.
all watching, if you're watching Forensics Files as a soothing mechanism,
Forensics
then
files.
whatever. So we let's see, we're coming up. We're a little bit past 5 here, so we still have a few more questions, or a few time for a few more questions. I think. Do we have another coat of the hollow? Or
top coat.
Oh, so we got to
We
get that.
didn't tell the story of why it's taco
Why it's taco? Oh, okay.
on this Taco Tuesday.
Hollow taco. So it is called Hollow Taco because Christine, who Simply Nailogical, who is from Canada, would talk really fast on her videos, and instead of saying top coat, she would say hollow taco. And so that became a meme, and that is why it's called Hollow Taco.
So, and then can you just touch on what is the hollow again, of the hollow aspect of it?
Holographic, so it's all rainbowy when you shift it. It's I believe Christine defines it as shifting rainbows in the light. It might be a little hard to see on your hands because I also put iridescent polishes on there. But
We love everything, Christine.
we have this rainbow sort of shifting.
It's kind of is it the same as what they sometimes call polychrome? Is that a similar kind of deal, or is
I
that
don't know what polychrome is.
okay? So the where it looks a different color just depending on the angles and stuff like that.
It looks rainbow depending on the angles.
Okay.
I think we have a.
Oh,
Never.
I got it.
And while we're digging that out, hello,
Holidays,
Lynn, checking in from the
No,
YouTube.
the other one. The
Welcome to
blue and purple.
House Call. Hope you're enjoying the program so far. Please feel free to check out
sorry,
some
this
of
is
our other
National.
programs
Sorry.
in the COPD Navigator channel. And again, like, share, and subscribe.
So,
So this is
this part is holographic, or on the inside.
Yeah.
See how it's all rainbowy? That's the holographic.
that's
part.
hollow. All right. So this is definitely edutainment, as I like to call it.
G.I. Joe.
Knowing is half the battle. So we've done a nice, pretty solid hour of self-care. We've done talking about tobacco cessation. We've talking about what we can do for nutrition. We've got some time to get your last round of nutrition, self-care, COVID, COPD. This is National Asthma Awareness Month. If you've got some of the asthma, COPD crossover, I think I want to start calling. Let's see if we can make this catch on. And there's been this huge debate about asthma, COPD overlap, and nobody likes to use that word anymore. Overlap's a dirty word. Let's talk about asthma, COPD crossover, because we know that there are people with chronic obstruction, COPD, who have reactive airways, that kind of classic asthma type of reaction.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't have that overlap, but we've got to have some kind of crossover, right? That interaction. So let's see if we can get that to stick in, see if I can be an influencer, a clinical influencer. It's all about the influence these days. So. And also, again, as a reminder, this is Giving Tuesday. A lot of good options out there. COPD Foundation, probably my favorite. There's also the American Respiratory Care Foundation, the American Lung Association, the American the Chest Foundation, which is part of the American College of Chest Physicians. The American Association of Nurse Practitioners. Do you guys have your own foundation, or is it just a...
What I want to give a plug to the Obesity Action Coalition. This is a group of primarily volunteers, including patients and providers. It's the advocacy group for obesity.
So there are certainly a lot of great options out there. Again, if you like and support what we're doing here, we're happy to put some of that towards some of our research and development of some additional programs and things like that. If you have any question about a link to any of these fantastic organizations out there, let me know and I will drop one into the comments. I am not, Cheryl asks, I am not a CO2 retainer. Can that change, or will I always be okay on that? I'm guessing you mean So, just to clarify, if you say, will I always be okay on that? Are you on oxygen right now, Cheryl? And while I know there's a bit of a delay there, but while we're waiting on Cheryl to hopefully answer that, Lynn says, haven't been on in a while, but have been watching all week. Well, thank you very much, Lynn. I appreciate you coming by. And Joe also has an excellent point about nail polish fumes that we'll get to in just a second. Actually, I'll cover that. Well, Cheryl, if you can just clarify for me, are you asking, are you going to be always going to not be a retainer? Or are you on oxygen right now or what have you? But, sorry.
I
figured we'd do a big reveal at the end.
Oh, sorry. I'm a little jump on the gun.
Okay, so Cheryl says, just when you sleep and exercise, only on oxygen during sleep and exercise. So it's hard to say with certainty one way or the other. For those who may be wondering what we're talking about here, a lot of times when you have the chronic obstruction of COPD, it is difficult to get the bad air out, and that's where the carbon dioxide is. And so then it kind of reabsorbs into your system, and you tend to have these chronically high levels of carbon dioxide in your bloodstream. We tend to call that being an oxygen or a CO2 retainer. It can depend on exactly what's causing the obstruction, though. A lot of times when you have more along the lines of the emphysema type damage, where the air sacs, the alveoli are actually kind of stretched out and consolidated, and
the ovuli.
Ovuli.
That's how they say it on Star Trek.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're terrible at that. They need an RT consultant. But in any event, then you might start to see more retention over time just because of the physics of gas exchange. It's difficult, it's chemically and physically more difficult for oxygen to get into your blood and carbon dioxide to get out. If you run more along kind of the
what did you do?
I don't know. I was trying to be real careful with it. Did it smear a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
You're such a man.
I was trying to be real careful.
Paint over it anyway.
With some of the chronic bronchitis kind of things, even though a lot of these folks used to be more considered on the blue side, it's still honestly the answer is
maybe
it depends. So I think, and now I see some more stuff coming through talking about the ABG test, like where you can get too much oxygen. So there's this idea of what's called the hypoxic drive, and it was this study that was done about 50 years ago on about a dozen people that said if you give somebody too much oxygen, if you give somebody with COPD too much oxygen, they're going to stop breathing. That has never really been replicated at scale. There are certain things where if you give somebody too much oxygen because of chemical reactions, and you really want to get deep into the chemistry, do a search for a thing called the Haldane effect. Not that I would really recommend it unless you're super into chemistry, but that the CO2 level will rise, but usually it does not affect you. We have this idea that you can't ever give anybody with COPD over a certain amount of oxygen, and that can also be dangerous. I liken it to kind of an allergy. You know, somebody or a sensitivity. Somebody is sensitive to gluten, probably the most famous one right now. Maybe they can have a little bit, but if they have too much, then they feel sick.
Lactose intolerance.
Yeah, it's also about that same prevalence too. Everybody gets real hyped up about, well, you got COPD, you can't have that much oxygen, and it's like, well, no, you got to make sure that somebody's still breathing. So, if the core of the question is whether you need to worry about the hypoxic drive, I would not in general. The answer to whether you're going to be a retainer or not is far more complicated.
All right.
In my view. So, and it's probably not going to have a functional difference in your therapy. While we're waiting on the final coat to dry, and while I'm hoping to not screw up my left thumb too much more.
Did you open your thing again? Is that what
Oh,
happened?
maybe that was it. I thought I was careful, but maybe it scraped a little bit. Joe does mentioning the olfactory triggers like nail polish fumes. And so this is, we talk about self-care, and if this is something you can do, much like with hypoxic drive, some people are sensitive to this, some people aren't. Some people are sensitive to cleaning fumes, some people aren't. Some people are sensitive to perfume, some people aren't. This is
Body spray.
Axe body spray. I would never recommend Axe body spray. But when you're finding your self-care ritual, make sure it's something you can tolerate. And if it's something that you have trouble with, like if you're an artist and you like to paint, but sometimes those fumes get to you, you might still be able to do that with a mask, in short supply right now, obviously. But if you can still do it comfortably without, I know even myself, when I've been wearing a mask at the store and stuff, sometimes I have noticed that alterations. I wouldn't necessarily quite call it lightheaded or anything like that, but you can definitely feel that you've got something over your face for a while. So be careful. There are definitely a lot of different triggers out there, and as you're developing your self-care routine and your self-care strategies, make sure that you're doing something that is safe and tolerable for you. And also remember that if you come across one of these triggers, you're not crazy. There are a lot of people who are like, well, every time I go to church, somebody's wearing perfume and it drives me nuts, and I don't want to say anything because I don't want to say anything. And it's like, well, you've got to, I hate that it's like this, but you got to stand up for yourself too. You've got to advocate for yourself. It's tough and it's not easy and it's not fun, but at the end of the day, that's the person that's infringing on you. And there are respectful ways to do it, in my opinion. I know that's not very happy and self-care and all that stuff, and maybe my nursing friends will disagree, but...
No, I appreciate Joe bringing that up. That's a very real thing and something we all want to be aware of. I'm also glad in the midst of it, our daughter is engaging in one of the self-care activities that I talk about a lot.
Hydration.
Water.
I have mine handy too. I just haven't gotten a chance at it yet. But,
I just finished mine. About the smell triggers.
Yeah.
I don't feel like saying olfactory.
And yet you just did.
I had a Spanish teacher that was very much like, you cannot wear or spray or open perfume in my classroom because I have a sensitivity, and I know several of my students in this very class have a sensitivity to it. And I also remember Axe body spray is popular with teenagers, if you didn't know. And one time, when I was in my 9th grade history class, this boy thought his desk was like dirty, so he whipped out a can of Axe body spray and sprayed it all over the desk, and it was terrible. And there was also a day where the entire band hall smelled like Axe body spray all day. I'm not kidding.
So and then Jamie says Axe is still popular. Why? Cheryl says, wearing 2 liters while asleep. Doc said I could turn up oxygen higher when you exercise, so you can do more because you're not a retainer. So, yeah. I mean, and that's likely to be the way it's going to be, the way it is henceforth. But, I just don't want to give anybody too much false sense of security or confidence or anything like that. So, oxygen is a funny thing. There are a lot of providers who don't like to let you have the freedom to titrate. I don't know why. I think a lot of it comes from this whole fear of hypoxic drive and all that stuff. But if you're exercising, and we have people titrate their insulin and do all those medications based on ranges, there's no reason we can't do that for people who train them how to use a pulse ox properly and manage your oxygen appropriately. So Maria checks in. Hi, Maria. I don't think I've seen you yet. So officially, hi. Axe is her biggest trigger. So I think everybody gets triggered by Axe.
Terrible.
Public service announcement.
Axe body spray is the worst.
Cycling back through, we're going to start wrapping up all the watch parties and all that stuff here. So just cycling through back a couple of the comments. I really, really appreciate everybody stopping by this afternoon. I know, this isn't this is certainly no Forensic Files. This is no British murder mystery, but I like to think that we have a little bit of fun here, and I like to have the reminder that we're all in it together. On that note, we will be continuing on each weekday at 4 p.m. We've got COPD Navigator House Call. Tomorrow we'll be doing a little bit of harmonica stuff. Perhaps we can all get our harmonicas out and wish Emma a happy birthday. Thursday we'll have our regular show, and then again at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be having a interactive video conference, basically, on the Zoom platform. Zoom is free. It's very easy to use. You can have it on a laptop. You can have it on mobile. You can have it wherever you're at, whatever is easiest for you to use. You can sign in with video and audio. You can sign in with just audio. You can call on the phone. It's very flexible, very easy to use. We're going to try having our very first COPD Navigator Ready Room, I called it. And have a little bit of a more interactive discussion, a little bit more real time here, and we'll see how that goes. And if that works well, we'll do it again. So be on the lookout for that. And then Friday will be Fitness Friday. We haven't 100% locked on a topic yet, although we did just get a fun desk cycle thing that you can put on top of the desk and use your arms after your nails have dried, of course, or under your desk and pedal with it. We might get a little bit of video game stuff going again, maybe a return to the dance-off. I'll have to talk it over with the rest of the team here and see what else we're going to do. But
I think those are fun. I'm a mess, but they're fun.
The Fitness Fridays in general, or the dance-off?
The dance-offs.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what we can do. On that note, first off,
I'll shake my hand.
well, we got
You're what?
no,
You're
we're not supposed to.
pretty.
We're not supposed to shake anymore. Remember, because we got to have our distancing. So we're going to start doing this. I've read that the handshake is very likely to become a thing of the past, or it could very well become a thing of the past, just because of infection vectors and stuff like that.
I don't know anyone who handshakes like my age, unless you're like meeting like super professionally.
Maybe
like,
fist bumps, but distancing kind of stuff.
La-la-la.
There you go. Let's have a big reveal. Well, let's see what the finished product looks like. Let's and what we're gonna do, we will actually even make this. We'll make this camera a little bit bigger.
Oh, I've got lipstick on mine.
You should be dry, I think.
So now we've got is that too much light? Is it? No.
Dad's is a theme. Can you guess?
Looks like Discovery.
No.
Or COPD.
Kelly wins.
Oh,
It's blue and orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am.
Hush your face.
Well, as it happens, I'm colorblind, so I picked that up as more of a pink than an orange.
That's
So-
fair. It is pink, orange, gold.
So
Nice
it
job,
looks
Emma.
like the blue and gold Star Trek Discovery uniforms to me. But let's all go to Holo Taco and get a real orange for COPD awareness, huh? But yeah, this is
pretty.
fantastic job. Again, just for the record, this is entirely my fault. Emma did a great job with that. I messed that up. But I am quite happy with the rest of the outlay there. So
And that was very thoughtful of her for awareness.
yes, absolutely. And so we're going to go back to the wide shot here. We've got Joe, may the Sith be with us. We've got Karen saying that they are pretty, and Cheryl pointing out that they are very nice polishes. So excellent job, Emma. Very special thank you both to Emma Hess, my stalwart daughter and social media intern now. You're going to be our, for any Phineas and Ferb fans out there, you're going to be our Carl.
Woohoo! I like Carl.
Carl the intern. And of course, my dear wife, my beloved wife, my fancy, all the other words.
You're
wife.
Imzadi.
There you go. Kelly Becker, obesity specialist, nurse practitioner extraordinaire, MSN, MSN FNPBC.
And Mike Hess's carer.
And my carer, yes. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the information, all the advice that you guys brought today. Looking forward to having you on the show again sometime. And thank you all. All of you out there, Navigator Nation, for supporting the program, for sticking with us, for giving us some ideas, giving us support, giving us tell us what you need to see in future episodes, what topics you want to cover. We'll probably, I'm hoping, as I said, I'm hoping to do these shows on a regular basis. If nothing else, we'll go back to our Breathe TV schedule before too long as we start emerging from some of these isolation things. But let me know what resources you need from COPD Navigator so that we can give you the information that you need to be a good partner in your care, so that we can engage more and get this information out to those folks who need it, who may not be aware of what we do here, and so that we can keep being an advocate for you. So,
and my self-care is seeing all these names of these people we love so much, and that you're committed and that you show up time and time. It warms my heart. It's like seeing, your Star Trek characters.
Again, it's like seeing the good friends.
Poirot and Miss Marple. And
Diana says this was a very helpful show. 3 of us are great together, so I guess we're going to have to do it again sometime.
we're doing okay in isolation. We still like each other.
Jamie loves all the stuff here. So with that, really hope everybody has a fantastic remainder to your Cinco de Mayo. I hope you have a great evening wherever you're at. I hope you're staying strong, staying home, and staying safe. And as always, I hope you continue to breathe lightly. So until tomorrow, I'm Mike Hess, along with Emma Hess and Kelly Becker. This has been COPD Navigator House Call. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See ya.
Bye.